Hi there, welcome back to Cheese Kitchen. Today we are going to make another family favorite of mine. It's a recipe that's been passed down from generations. I've eaten this, I remember back in Vietnam when I was a little girl, my grandmother made it, and then my mother made it and then showed me how. It's actually an entree that goes with rice. It's called trứng, thịt. Translated is meat omelette. Okay, it is a very easy dish to make, and it's considered a peasant dish, not something you would ever find in a restaurant. It's something that we just make at home to eat. So you will never find this unless you were invited into a Vietnamese family meal to experience this. So let's get started making this dish. Okay, so what kind of ingredients do we need for this recipe? First, we need some ground pork. A pound of ground pork. We also need some yellow onions, chopped like so. We also need some green onions, chopped like so. And we need some eggs. Of course, for seasoning, you need some salt, some black pepper, some garlic powder, and some oil. We need the oil to fry the meat omelette. In terms of utensils and equipment, what you'll need is a mixing bowl. You also need a skillet to fry the meat omelette in. All right, so let's get started making some meat omelette. All right, to start out, we're going to make the dish by adding in some ground pork. Next, we mix in the chopped up yellow onions. Then we add in the chopped up green onions. Then we're going to crack in the eggs. Next, we're going to add in the seasoning. First comes in the salt. Then a little bit of garlic powder. Then a little bit of black pepper. Then we mix it all up. Very easy. Once everything is blended in together, it looks like this. Now we're going to have to heat up our skillet with some oil so that we can fry the omelette. As you can see here, I have my skillet on my stove on medium heat. Maybe medium to low is probably a better idea. And I've got just enough oil to cover the surface of my skillet. Not very deep at all, just enough to cover it. This bowl of meat mixture will make several batches. You're not going to be able to make it all in one omelet patty. You're probably going to need to make 3, maybe 4, depends on how big you want to make it. I want to make mine slightly smaller than the size of my skillet. That way it'll be easier to flip. So you do need a spatula to be able to flip this. And also be careful. This dish, because we're frying oil, it might splatter on you, so be careful with that so you don't get burned. Okay, so I'm going to check my oil to see if it's ready by sticking my chopstick to see if it sizzles and bubble up. It is sizzling, bubbling. Okay, it's ready. Let's put in our meat mixture. What I use is a small ladle to scoop in the meat mixture so I can spread it around like a pancake, just like an omelette. There you go. We're going to let it sit there and cook. It helps if you have a lid. I'm going to cover it up to make it cook faster. Let's check on our omelette. Careful when you open it up, the oil could splatter. What I'm looking for is the patty to look all white, which it is, and not so liquidy. That tells me it's ready to be flipped. Also look for the outer edges. You don't want it to look brown. That means it's getting burnt. So now it can tell it's kind of hard. So I stick my spatula underneath Careful not to break it. I'm going to hold it this way. I'm going to flip it. This side won't take as long to cook. It's already partially cooked. I'm just waiting for the other side to cook thoroughly so we don't have uncooked meat. Soon I will be taking it out. So I'm just going to poke some holes like that. What that does is helps it cook faster. This is a very nice, pretty golden brown color we're looking for. While I'm waiting for that to cook, I'm going to prepare my plate to put the omelet on. So what I do is I get a large plate and I put some paper towels on it so that when I put my omelet on, the oil will soak through so the omelet won't be so oily. What I do is to check if it feels kind of stiff and not so floppy, that's when I know it's done. Also take a peek underneath to see what color it is. Generally it's going to be pretty white. It won't have this nice golden brown, but I can tell it's kind of stiff. It's cooked through, because if it's still kind of floppy, that means it's not quite done yet. So I'm going to scoop it out. I let the oil drain a little bit, then put it on my plate with paper towels. I can monitor the oil. It looks like I still have plenty of oil. I'm just not going to need to add any more. I'm going to scoop in some more omelet. Let's cover it up. Just want to show you what the finished omelet looks like. It's sitting there soaking on paper towels while the other omelet is cooking. Okay, looks like our last omelet is ready to be plated. I was able to make 4 omelet patties with this recipe. Here is the finished meat omelet. What I did was I cut all those patties up into little squares, more manageable bites, and Asian people, we eat it family style. So it goes on a big plate like this, and people just individually pick the pieces as they eat. This goes really well with a dipping sauce called nước mắm pha, which is a fish dipping sauce. What I'm going to show you next is a side vegetable dish that goes really well with this omelet. It's called bắp cải xào, which is stir-fried cabbage. As you can see here, this is a full meal. This is the meat omelet. This is the stir-fried cabbage. I made some black rice to go with it. And there's the fish dipping sauce for you to dip the omelet in. This is a very typical meal we have in our family. It's considered a peasant meal, not something you would find in a restaurant. If you want the recipe for the stir-fried cabbage, check out my channel. The video is already made. There you have it, meat omelet, trứng thịt. I hope you enjoyed making this dish with me today. Please try it out. Maybe your family will love it. Thanks again for joining Chi's Kitchen. See you next time.